one of the main advantages that influencer marketing has in the travel industry. We are all about creating experiences, not about selling a product.
It's very important nowadays that these experiences are being recreated in a very authentic way.
Now with influencers becoming larger and larger, we're seeing a lot of hotel reviews coming from them. That has changed the experience in people choosing the locations they travel to.
Now with the shift that we have been seeing on social, it can engage, but perhaps not going to give you the right conversion that you're looking at.
For the hotel industry, like people are researching in different channels. It's not only social media. So I can have picture perfect in my Instagram, but if you go onto Google or TripAdvisor, people can actually upload photos there.
Hi everyone, I'm Maira Genovese, founder and CMO of Ep.10 Global Influencer Marketing. And this is our Influencer Marketing Uncover podcast. Thank you so much for being here with us on the past episodes. We are so excited to see that our audience is growing and that you are enjoying our guests and the conversations that we are having. Today, I'm here with Aleks Velev, our lovely campaign manager at Ep.10, and together we are happy today to be joined by the talent Lisette Sprangers. She's general manager for the first AC hotel by Marriott in Colombia. Lisette has an incredible background in marketing experience through the power of digital and social media for the hospitality and travel industry across South America. In today's episode, we will be discussing and as well exploring together how to position a hotel brand through social media and influencer marketing. Aleks, welcome. How are you today?
Hi, Maira and everybody. I'm fine. I'm so excited to be co-hosting today's episode with you and with our very special guest joining us from Colombia. Lisette, welcome to Influencer Marketing Uncovered, MG Empower's podcast. First of all, want to thank you so much for accepting our invite. We're very happy to speak with you today. And want to start off by asking you, how are you? And if you could tell the audience a bit more about your professional experience.
Hi, Aleks. Hi, Maira. Thank you so much for having me. It's an honor to be here with you today. Yeah, of course. Well, my name is Lisette, as Maira stated. I'm currently the general manager of the first AC hotel actually in Latin America for the entire Marriott brand. I come from a long way in the hospitality industry. I started when I was about 14 years old, like in the F&B departments and restaurants, bars, then went on to reception, and then got into digital marketing and PR actually in the Netherlands. And that was my first experience with everything it has to do with marketing. And at that point, digital marketing was not as big as it is now. So it has been very interesting throughout my career in different hotels of the Starwood and Marriott brands to see the evaluation of digital marketing throughout the hospitality industry. I worked in marketing as well, doing the opening of the W in Bogota, which is also then a Starwood brand, now a Marriott brand. Which is very interesting. We'll get into that later in the podcast, tell you a little bit about that. And now here in the AC, where I'm the general manager and of course also in charge of everything it has to do with marketing. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Lisette. So great to get to know your background and your experience, and we're super excited to start this conversation with you and hear more about your experience on hospitality and how this industry is evolving through social media and influencer marketing. So let's kick off our conversation and to going back to your introduction point where you were saying that on hospitality you have been in charge of social and also influencers across the hotel. So I wanted to start this conversation, understand with you, like, how do you see that influencer marketing and digital has evolved the hospitality and travel industry? And how and why do you think that transformation, actually getting your opinion, if you think that transformation, it's being positive? So what are the good and bad about this transformation that we have seen from not just for hospitality, but across all industry with the rise of social and influencer marketing?
I think social media and influencer marketing now are more important than ever. Like, we cannot go back to old ways of marketing, and especially not in travel and hospitality industry. What do influencers do? That's the first question we have to ask ourselves. And influencers, what they do is actually they provide a digital word of mouth to all their peers. Whereas when we go back to like traditional ways of marketing, we would say that word of mouth, one person may tell about 5 or 6 of their friends about their experience, then that person tells maybe 2 or 3, and so on. An influencer nowadays can have hundreds of thousands of followers, even millions of followers. So they show the experience in the hotel or whatever travel means they are showing to their audience, and it has just such a broad audience. Also, I think one of the main advantages that influencer marketing has in the travel industry, like, we are all about creating experiences. We are not about selling a product. And if we create experience, an influencer actually shows their audience the experience from A to Z. So they don't, it's not just a picture, it's not just a text, it's not just a review, but they actually take their audience with them on their entire journey. And that is so important for us as we are selling those experiences. And we want people to be excited about the experience they can have during their travels or on their holidays and families, traveling with friends as well, and just knowing what's out there and how they can really experience it. That is really the main thing that influencer marketing brings to the hospitality industry.
Lisette, so great that you mentioned about creating experience, because I think nowadays, especially through social and influencer marketing, it's all about recreating experience, right? To engage with the consumers, with your audience. So my interest, based on what you said, is like when you said about experience. When you select influencers to create the experience, normally you look for influencers that shares the same values as the group Marriott. So how do you do that selection? Because I think it's very important nowadays that these experiences are being recreated in a very authentic way, right? Because you don't want to have influencers going to the hotel, creating the experience, but don't pass that to their audience as something that is authentic, that is genuine, that is real. So how do you choose and how do you select it? And then do you normally look for making sure that that influencer share the same values, or you look into making sure that the audience is the audience that you wanted to approach? So it would be interesting to understand that kind of direction on criteria to create this experience online.
Yes, definitely. And I think every brand has like their own identity, and that is especially through not only for the entire Marriott brand, but Marriott has 30 different brands actually within their portfolios. So working for AC now, and before that I worked for the W Hotels, both of those brands are lifestyle brands. So lifestyle brands talk directly to their customer, and they have the same demographics, same interests, like their target guest is very defined. So when you look for an influencer that can help you out, like showcasing all the experience that you have on property that your hotel has to offer, it has to be someone that matches with what you said, like those values, but especially those interests. So how do we do that? That's not always a decision I take by myself. We have a team here. We have a marketing team, and it's just a matter of researching, really, like researching the pages of the probable influence that we could invite over, see what kind of audience they have, but especially also the interaction and the engagement they have with their audience. That's a very, very important point for us to choose which influencer to go with. So on their pages, you can always see like what kind of travel style they have and what kind of conversations they have with their audience. And based on those criteria, we choose someone to go with that actually is in line with what we want our customers or our probable customers to see and what we want to showcase from the hotel to the world.
In terms of working with people that have the same interests and really targeting in that way, both locally and also globally, in order to raise awareness for the chain. And you mentioned in the answer to the initial question about online word of mouth. So now with influencers becoming larger and larger, we're seeing a lot of like hotel reviews coming from them. Do you believe that has changed the experience in people choosing the locations they travel to and as well as the hotels they pick?
Oh, definitely. Yeah, what I said, like influencer marketing is like a digital word of mouth that spreads out very fast. And people that follow influencers trust their influencers. They trust their opinion and they trust what they see and they trust what they are posting. So it's very, very important that like the influencer really shows their authentic experience. Also, I think the ways of marketing have definitely changed. We know that in general, 1 out of 4 people make their purchase decision like through social media. And I think that's especially true for lifestyle brands, as I mentioned before. So yes, and also we know that the human brain processes a picture or a video 60,000 times faster than text. So if an influencer has their stories like one after another of all the experiences, everything that they're going through in the hotel, everything there is to do, that creates a lot of trust with their audience. And as we said, like they have a very broad audience. So that's a digital word of mouth that's very important, that reaches a lot of people.
My own experience, for example, when I open Instagram, there's a few pages such as beautiful destinations, beautiful hotels. I open them, I see content from different locations and different hotels, and I want to visit that location. But in terms of that content, it comes a bit, for those pages, it comes a bit aspirational in a way. So just wanted to ask you, in your opinion, what works better? Aspirational content that shows like the picture perfect, hotel, or more of an actual representation of the whole experience?
I think with everything that's going on in social media, people do know what's going on and they want to see the real picture. Yeah. They just want to see that, like the reality of things. You can really trick them into your picture perfect hotel or destination. Like the perfect hotel or the perfect trip doesn't exist. There's always something, right? And that also has to do with different audiences. And that's how we come back to how important it is to actually select your influencer and not just go with anyone. Because within your audience, like there is people that might like certain things and other things not. But if you would target it at another other audience, it could be the other way around. So that's why it's super important to choose the right influencer for your brand. But yeah, I would definitely say like the reality is more important than the aspirational picture perfect.
Lisette, no, and then that point goes back to be authentic, right? Because the consumer, especially the Gen Zers, the millennials, they are very savvy, right? So they know what to engage with. They know what is authentic, what it's not authentic. So I think the aspirational content that we have seen in the past worked really well. But I think now with the shift that we have been seeing on social and with so many things going on, right, when it comes to, creating social good campaigns, because it's so important now, right, for the brands to be engaged with social movements and it has to be authentic, like the aspirational, it can engage, but perhaps not going to give you the right conversion that you're looking at, because I think, and myself as a consumer, as Aleks was saying, I like to see reviews. And I also love to see when influencers are having the experience. But if I see that the experience that are having is not being shown on social very organic, very genuine. It's just all about, let me sell this hotel and say that this hotel is perfect, then I'm not going to buy into it.
What you're saying is very true, and especially so for the hotel industry. Like, people are researching in different channels. It's not only social media. So I can have my dream like, and again, the picture perfect in my Instagram. But if you go into Google or TripAdvisor, people can actually upload photos there. So the contrast could be very big because, of course, we choose our photos with the best light on the best moment of the day, and like to showcase what the hotel is about. But if the contrast with real life photos from real life travelers is very big, that can actually create mistrust. So that's why it's so important to have authentic material and content on your social media pages as well.
Absolutely. And then tell me about purpose. Uh, because like we've been talking about a lot with, not just with our clients, but the industry itself, right? It's been talking about like how to have a purpose mindset when creating a strategy to engage with consumers on social and influencer. Uh, would love to understand from the hospitality perspective how that purpose mindset has coming across and within your industry, and if so, how you guys are approaching that purpose mindset to getting the values of your product across social and influencer, but in a way that is not just going to be a storytelling that is commercial driven to engage people to come to your hotel, but also a storytelling that will show your real values and getting the purpose of of your business into the consumer mindset.
The thing is, I think if we go back to traditional marketing, we all know that purposes can be created. So that is also what we have to that we have to create a purpose to travel. Like, why do people have the need to travel? So, hey, I've been working a lot. Hey, are you stressed out? Hey, do you need some sun? So come to the Caribbean coast of Santa Marta of Colombia, where I am now, because here we have the perfect hotel for you, and that is creating a purpose. I think digging a little bit deeper into that is maybe also the purpose of like social responsibility, and I think influencers come in very handy there as well. Like, with the little details like not using single-use plastic, what are we doing actually with our waste, where is it going, what do we do for our community. For example, here we work with a recycling company, and we'll be working with a foundation for dogs, because that's street dogs, because that's one of the main problems here in Santa Marta. So that's how people see like how you are contributing to the community. And I think influencers can showcase that very well in their experiences, instead of the hotel telling people like, hey, look how good we're doing, because that might come across egoistic, or might not come across the same way as it would if an influencer shows that.
I wanted to ask in terms of that, because we are speaking on the behalf of like authentic content versus aspirational content and being real with reviews. In a few years ago, in 2018, 2019, an article broke out on Business Insider about influencers going to hotels and demanding free stay or freebies in order to post about their experience. What's your opinion on that, and in terms of like the authenticity and really working with influencers in that way?
That is actually a very hard topic. And I am not sure how to answer your question, because all the influencers nowadays do the same thing. Like, all the influencers actually come to your hotel, and they want to do business with you, but they need something in return. So that's actually a concern of mine for influencer marketing in the hospitality industry. It's going to become like more of a deal instead of really showing the authentic experiences. So what can happen is that actually people are not going to trust those influencers anymore, because they are going to know about this at some point. So I give you like 2 free nights. I give you like all your food in the restaurant. You can go to the spa one day, like all that kind of stuff. And they have to post like positive reviews and positive stories, because if not, like the deal doesn't hold up, right? So that's actually something that might that's just very challenging. And I think going forward that's going to be even more challenging, because people will find out about that at some point. I think now, like currently, it's not that well known yet, but it might in the future, and that might affect how influencer marketing will be used in the hospitality industry for sure.
And to this point, Lisette, that you mentioned about the future, because I agree that in the past, and we're still seeing the influencer and hospitality working in that sense. However, I think there is the positive and the negatives, right? I don't see it just as a negative, because if any brand are working with influencer, you have to pay for the influencer to create a content on behalf of any product or any service, right? So what the hospitality is doing, instead of like paying a fee, is just offering a value for the influencer that is requesting, like I would be happy to come to your hotel, or they can approach very organically, right? So Lisette, I would love to go to Colombia on my holidays, and I'm an influencer, and I have been researching your hotel, and I think it's amazing. I would love to stay there, and then in return, I will be creating experience and content on my channel. I feel that it's very organic and authentic. If an influencer is approaching with the genuine wish to experience your hotel. I think there is like various way of going to collaborate with influencer on hospitality, because of the end of the day, they are creating content for you, right? So they have to be recompensated somehow. But I agree with you that the choices of who are going to be those influencers that are creating those content for you is that key element of it all, because you cannot open up to everyone. So it's more about creating, okay, maybe I can create a group of ambassadors, right? And then those ambassadors will come, very often and having the experience. And then you can create that authenticity, and then you can create that genuine approach, because your consumers can see that these influencers are coming back and they're creating like very real experience on an ambassador level. There's a hotel in Paris. I would not mention the name, but I've been working with them for a few years now. And every time we had Paris Fashion Week, we would work with them to collaborate it with few ambassadors to create the whole experience for the Paris Fashion Week of their hotels. And then the strategy that we have created is always bringing the same influencer for the Paris Fashion Week experience. Instead of us being every time changing the influencer, we are keeping the same. So every February, every September, people know that that group of influencers, they will be staying there, and they will show the whole experience of Paris Fashion Week through the eyes of this hotel. And then for that, we managed to create a very, organic, very through, storytelling, because it's like they're getting excited to go back, every February and September. So I think it's more how you create the strategy around it, to make sure that will, sound real experience when their followers are watching the content they're creating.
And I think
their followers know that.
Sorry.
Yeah, absolutely. I think a really important thing here to mention is exactly working with the right influencers, not working with just anybody. Because if just anybody with, like, let's say 100,000 followers or 50,000 followers goes to a hotel randomly and just goes at the desks and asks for freebies just because of that follower count, not really because of the content they create. If the content is not in line with the brand, that's not going to work.
That's what you hear a lot of from influencers. Hey, but why don't you want to work with me? Because I have so many followers and my engagement is great. Yeah, I know, but it's not my target audience, and it's not in line with the values and the mantras of our brand. Yeah.
And Lisette, just wanted to ask, not just us, but I think our listener will be very interesting in to know as well about it. With the pandemic last year, right, 2020, and we still, it's still here, right? So we're still facing that challenge, of COVID-19 and vaccinations. There's a different speed in each country, each market, right? So how throughout 2020 and by now, how hospitality in general are having to be innovating to keep your message of your brand out there, even without having a guest, but continue to create content and building momentum for when holidays are allowed again. Your hotel or any hotel in the world will still be on top of mind of your target consumer. So I think this is a topic that, like everyone would be interesting to hear, because hospitality, you guys have faced a huge challenge, and how you guys did, and what are you guys still doing?
Well, we were closed throughout to 2020 for 8 months. So that's very hard, because how do you create new content if the hotel is closed and everything is just stuck away? So yeah, we had to kind of work with the content we had from before. Luckily, we had a lot still. We make a lot of content here in the hotel because there are just so many areas. There's so many different things to do. So we were lucky with that. Right now, to be honest, we're very lucky here in Santa Marta, because travel has picked up here. So we do not have an empty hotel. What we have done, which I think is very interesting, is we went out and actually asked our customers. A lot of stories on Instagram, like, hey, would you like to come back to the pool bar? And would you like a beer? Do you want a cocktail? And how do you want all security protocols and implemented? So do you want to wear your mask, or do you don't want to wear your mask? Like in the entire property, it's in there. Everyone is obligated to wear their mask, but still ask. Where do you want to see like alcohol dispensers? Like where do you want them in the entrance? Do you want them in the elevators, or both? And we just created stories and like started to ask people. And through those stories, also asking like, what kind of experiences do you want? Like, because the way of traveling has also changed a lot after the pandemic. Like there's almost no corporate travel going on. So we were kind of a corporate hotel. So we had to change our strategy around to like families and vacations. So, okay, what kind of plans do you want to see? What kind of packages? Do you want a package which includes your dinner and includes going out on a sailing boat and then coming back and having a cocktail in the pool area? Or do you just want bed and breakfast? Like, what are you guys interested in? And we got a lot of information of these stories, a lot. So I recommend it to everyone. Like, just ask your audience, ask what they want. At some point, we were doing Sunday brunches here, and we were deciding between two Sundays. And we were like, well, let's ask. And we asked it on Instagram, and people answered, and well, the higher percentage, well, we did our brunch. So and that's also engaging. Like, people like to engage with you and they want to give their opinion. So that's actually listening to your audience, what are their needs, what are their wants, their interests, and how can you mold like your entire experience so that that matches.
I absolutely loved to hear that your strategy was to, it's kind of co-create the new ways of engaging with a consumer, but through listening to them, what they would be expecting when they go back. And I think, to be honest, this is genius what you guys did, because it's like the way when you're talking, I was like, it's more like you guys step back and was like, now corporate travels are not happening, and we don't know if this will happening again. So we don't know how the experience will look like, because now we have to follow certain rules, right? So our staff needed to wear masks. We have to make sure that people will keep social distance. Probably going to have to measure temperature of our guests when they arrive. So it's a different experience, and then it's never going to be back to where it was before. I personally believe in that. And then you is all new, right? And then how to recreate all this is experience and making sure that recreating that you will still get your guests enjoying the stay. So I think it's amazing to hear. And I think, for every hospitality brand that are listening to this podcast today, I think it's a great insight you're giving here. Like asking your consumer, okay, so we're going to have to recreate this experience, what you would like to see when you're coming back. And I think it's phenomenal what you guys did. And co-creation is something that it will continue to be a very strong way of engaging on social, is to listen to what your consumers are looking at rather than tell them what they should be doing. So it's kind of the opposite, right? So what do you want as a customer? And I am as your, as your guest, as your hotel, your product, I would do exactly what you want me to do, because it's at the end of the day is the consumer that you have to please, right? It's the consumer experience that you have to create to be unforgettable. So incredible way of doing it. And then like looking to the future for hospitality, like because we still are facing, as I said, pandemic is still here. Some places are still locked down. So many airlines having still not flying as they used to. So when you look to the future, because there is a light at the end of the tunnel, right? So we will go back to travel again. But what the future looks like for the hospitality when this is open back again, people start traveling. So what's the future that you see for that hospitality industry?
I think we're going back to a point you mentioned before, and that's also the purpose of traveling, and the purpose that people have and the purpose they want the hotel to have. We know that research shows that it's getting increasingly more important for our guests. What we do on sustainability matters, what we do with social responsibility. They do not just want to travel to an hotel anymore. They want to really feel identified with their destination, where they're going. So we have to reinvent ourselves. We have to reinvent ourselves, like the way we do business, what kind of experiences we create, and also telling our guests what we are doing besides just making money, because of course our business is selling rooms and selling the experience so that people actually enjoy their stay. But what else do we do? It's not just like people do not care about only the core business, but what do you do besides that? And also reviews are also getting increasingly more important. That can be like on OTAs, it can be on TripAdvisor, but also influencer marketing is amazing for that, and we are definitely going to need that. And I think especially now after the pandemic, like what you said, also like people are going back to traveling, but it's a different way of traveling. So influencer marketing can be used there as well, like showing what experiences you offer, what products you offer, and why people should choose you. Like, why do people need to come to my hotel and not just only like, yeah, we have great spaces, but the entire experience, really the experience and everything around it.
Amazing. I want to speak about kind of, because you were in a very unique position with, it's the first AC hotel in Colombia, and it's really about establishing a brand. So I wanted to ask, and as Maira said, the strategy that you guys did with asking with the stories on what guests really prefer is amazing. I think that could be a strategy that works also when working with influencers, when being in the hotel, asking questions to their guests. I think that could work as an amazing like focus group to really understand the needs. But just wanted to ask, in terms of establishing a brand presence in Colombia, when it's the first hotel of this kind opening, how important was it to work with creators to establish that presence locally as well as globally, but mainly locally, really establishing that brand for it to be known around?
I think there's no straight answer to that question because there's a lot of different markets and a lot of different brands.
Yeah.
And I'm going to tell you why. In the beginning, I told you that I'm going to tell a little bit about what we did in a W, because a W was also a very new hotel here in Colombia, and the W is just very bold and witty. And well, at that point, I was in Bogota, and the people from Bogota were just not used to that kind of hotel. Like they were used to traditional hospitality, but not to a hotel that has like we had a club in our hotel, so it was like people didn't know what to expect. And what we did there was just really going out with a lot of bold and witty messages, and also try to find the influencers that are just going out of the box, thinking they're crazy, like because we had to really position the hotel for the brand it is. And in Bogota, there was a great audience for that, and they actually caught that idea, and now it's one of the most popular hotels in Bogota. However, when I came to Santa Marta and had to position the AC here, that was an entire different story, because I started off in the same way. I was like, hey, this worked in Colombia before, so let's do it again. But that didn't work. It didn't work at all, because like just the people here are very different. So on a local level, we know that always, like if you have a hotel, you first need the locals on your side before you go out further into the world, right? So the locals didn't get on our side. They didn't get it. Like we were putting out those amazing messages, like this is what our brand is about, this is what we're doing, like look at us, and it just didn't work. So that's why we started to turn things around, like, okay, maybe we should think about this another way. We should maybe like incorporate more of their ideas in what we are doing and get a lot more local stuff into the hotel, and thus also our marketing strategy. So yeah, I had to very much adjust like the way of marketing to be able to position the hotel here in Santa Marta. Now we're one of the best hotels here in the city. We're top of mind of a lot of people. Our engagement is actually one of the best in the entire market here. So we were successful. But it took us some time, because we started off on the wrong foot, and that was because something that happened before. We wanted to repeat that, and it didn't work. So you always have to change your marketing style and your marketing strategies to what works. You can't just stick with one thing, although it's the same country, the same industry, it didn't work the same way. So there's no straight answer to your question. It really depends on where you are and what your market wants.
Something that you said that's really important is, even though it's the same country, it's a different location perhaps. So like the locals have a different mindset than when before you were trying to attract customers to the W hotel and trying to like create a perception. So it's the different locations in that country that are also perceiving the marketing differently.
And Lisette, I wanted to talk about innovation. So we as an agency, and I am a truly believer that innovation is what's going to drive uh, any industry, any business forward nowadays. Now, especially that we are living in an era that digital has never been so important as for now. But it's not about just being digital, but also about how can you innovate it when it comes to digital. For hospitality, what is the innovation aspect that we can expect to see the industry doing when it comes to creating the experience, but also innovating on social channels, right? Because today it is Instagram, of course, but we have so many other platforms. Like we have TikTok, we have Facebook, we have YouTube, we have Snapchat. Now we have Clubhouse, which is an audio social. So to end our conversation, very interested and to hear about how hospitality industry will continue to innovate it on digital, and of course with influencer marketing and on social when you have to promote your own brand.
Well, you can only innovate with your digital strategies if the hotel is innovative as well. So we all know that the Marriott brand is very innovative. So I think the digital experience is very important. And that starts from the moment of creating awareness, brand awareness. And then like you take your customer through the entire customer funnel, from awareness to the purchasing decision, and from the purchasing decision on, like when they actually make their purchase, it's just being on top of them with pre-arrival emails, pre-arrival WhatsApps, even through the Marriott Bonvoy app. There's now mobile check-in, like well, here in Colombia, we can do it because of local regulations, but in a lot of parts of the world, you can actually check in on your mobile phone. You get your key on your mobile phone. You open your door with your mobile phone. Like you don't have to even pass by reception desk. So that's definitely a digital experience. And I think what we said about pre-arrival planning, that's where a lot of digital marketing comes into place, like with different messages you can send out to your guests to also get more incremental revenue. They can book a certain room, but if you send a message out 2 days before, email marketing, for example, like, hey, you can get a room with a balcony, sea view, but it costs you a little bit more. Do you want it? Yes, I want it. Okay, perfect. That's also more revenue for the hotel. So I think that's just gonna keep evolving. It's not gonna stop here, and I can't imagine the ways that we're gonna travel like years from now. It's gonna be very different. It's gonna be very different. And unfortunately, well, here especially in Colombia, and I think the entire Latin America, we're still a little bit behind. I think in especially Europe, the Middle East, and the States, they're a bit more advanced. But yeah, we're gonna see a lot of changes.
Yeah, but I see those changes as something to look forward, because I know it has been tough, right? Not just for hospitality, but for so many industries throughout the past year. But when I look forward, I try to think that the future is bright. It will change a lot, but it will be more how can we recreate those experience in an innovative way. And as you said, I think now every time we decided to travel, there will be much more in-depth research, much more in-depth understanding of, okay, exactly to what you said, where do I want it to go, is in line with my values, is in line for what I believe, and sustainability will play a huge role into that. Because, like, from my personal experience, I don't want it to go to any hotel that's not thinking about sustainability. For me, this as a consumer, as a traveler, this will be the first kind of box that I will myself check. Is this hotel sustainable? Is this hotel doing some good to the global climate? So for me, it's going to be very important that. So I think the future it's going to be continue to be challenged, but I think it will be exciting at the same time, because all these chains that you mentioned and that we have been discussing, that innovation and being sustainable and being part of social good led campaigns, in the end it's contributing to a better world, right? And perhaps if it was not happening what is happening now with COVID-19, perhaps we wouldn't have the chance to step back and to think through, right? And I think what's happening now is giving us a chance of saying, okay, let's stop there and starting again, but differently and better for the hotel, right? The product, but also better for consumers and better for the world. So I always try to think in a as much as challenge it could be, I feel like it can, in the end, be very positive.
Yeah, that's a good thing that came from all of this.
Absolutely. Lisette, it has been a pleasure to speak with you and getting to know more about, how social influencer are changing the way hospitality is doing marketing. Thank you so much for your time. I'm sure our listener will enjoy our conversation. And again, thank you so much for taking the time and be part of our Influencer Marketing Uncovered podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been fun. I like talking about all this, and it's interesting to see what's gonna happen. And well, whatever you guys need from me, I'm here. It's been a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Amazing. Thank you so much for everyone that's here today listening to our Influencer Marketing Uncovered podcast. Hope you have enjoyed this conversation with the wonderful Lisette. Please stay tuned. If you have not signed up to our Spotify account, please don't forget to sign up, to like our podcast. Do the same on our YouTube. So as I said at the beginning of our podcast, we are incredible happy to see that our audience is growing, that you're enjoying our conversation. We will continue to bring international guests to talk to us all about influencer marketing and uncover topics that hasn't been told before. So thank you so much for listening, and I see you on our next episode. Thank you so much.